Have you ever turned on the news, seen a group of people acting in a really unhinged and dangerous manner, and thought to yourself, I would never do that. I'm just not that type of person? Well, I'm here today to tell you that if you were put in that situation, you would likely act quite similarly. This is a common misconception in Western societies, so common that we actually have a term for it. The fundamental attribution error, which is when we overestimate how much personality plays into someone else's behavior and we don't take into account the situational forces. For example, if you were to watch someone's trip, you are more likely to assume that they are clumsy across situations, and thus it reflects their disposition or personality, and not take into account some situational forces, like they might have had an important text they needed to respond to, or the pavement was uneven. But this begs the question, what about a crowd makes people act in this manner? Well, to answer that, we are going to attend a protest from the perspective of someone participating in it. Imagine you are protesting a bill that, if passed, would oppress LGBTQ rights. You and all the people there took time out of your busy day to attend, so it's safe to assume that you feel passionate about the topic. You're talking with all your fellow protesters about all the great reasons why these rights should be protected, and feeling confident in wanting them to like you, you decide to say, if you support the bill, I don't support you. One of the fellow protesters responds, if you support the bill, you shouldn't have rights. Finally, someone escalates it to, not only shouldn't you have rights, you should be prosecuted. You think that taking legal action against someone who just supports a bill is a little far, but not wanting to be judged, you nod along. Here we have two psychological phenomena at play. The first is groupthink. Groupthink is when group cohesiveness becomes so strong that opposing views are unable to be voiced. Because we're not hearing anything that goes against our beliefs and opinions, we start to feel that we are unquestionably right. This can lead to group polarization, which is the tendency for a group to make a more extreme decision than we would predict by individual members' opinions. Again, this is partially due to groupthink and feeling like we're unquestionably right, but it's also partially due to wanting others to like us. We feel that by saying something that might be a little bit more extreme than we believe, that other people will see how strongly we support that opinion, and if they too support that opinion, will have more respect for us. But back to the situation at hand. You're looking around and the crowd starts to get a bit rowdy until someone you notice breaks a window. Noticing that the window breaker doesn't get in trouble, someone decides to light a flag on fire. Looking around, you see more and more and more reckless and dangerous behavior unfolding around you, until you're so caught up in the moment that you find yourself helping a group of people flip over a car. Being this hot-headed is very uncharacteristic for you, and so later you ask yourself, why did I do that? Well, thank goodness psychology has a term for everything, and the term for this is de-individuation, which is where in a group situation, your anonymity increases so your personal restraint decreases. This is due to two cues. The first one is accountability cues. You know you're not going to have to face the consequences of your actions. In a group that looks like this, everyone was committing a crime. There's no way the police could arrest every single person. Additionally, there's attentional cues. Unless you have a mirror following you around everywhere you go, you're not paying attention to yourself committing these behaviors or your own morals or beliefs, but instead are focusing on everyone else who is also acting in this same way. Both this lack of accountability and lack of attention to yourself leads us to act in uncharacteristic ways. So at this point, hopefully you can see how the situation really does impact your behavior. But just because we can explain it doesn't excuse it. Out-of-hand protests can result in injuries, deaths, and also expensive damage. Because of all of this, we need to ask ourselves, how can we avoid falling victim to these processes? Well, first, to overcome groupthink and group polarization, you can assign a devil's advocate whose job it is to voice these dissenting opinions. To overcome de-individuation, bring awareness back to yourself and think about your morals and standards. Finally, just by watching this presentation, you're better equipped to battle these processes because the next time that you encounter them, you can identify them and choose how you want to act. So the next time that you turn on the news and you see a group acting in an unhinged manner, I hope you're better able to appreciate some of the situational forces at play. After all, we are much more similar than we are different. Thank you.